Alright, today I'm going to be reacting to Is Meat Bad for You by Kurzgesagt.
When our vegetarian ancestors started eating meat around 2 million years ago, it wasn't
Well, different species. Homo sapiens are only around 300,000 years old.
just because animals taste great, it was pure necessity. Climate change made many of the plants our ancestors relied on less available, and meat bridged that gap.
Yeah, because you were there and you saw it happen, right?
From the discovery of fire at the latest, meat became a staple of the human diet. But over the last few years, eating meat has increasingly been associated with health risks like heart disease, certain cancers, and an early death.
Associated. It means people who eat more meat have more instances of these things, right? But it's not controlled for. It's completely correlated. It's not actually causal evidence. So you can't report on risk based on this.
So, how unhealthy is meat really?
Well, that's a stupid question. The question should be, how healthy is meat?
In this video, we'll only talk about meat. Dairy products deserve a video of their own. Biologically, we need to eat for 3 reasons: for energy, to acquire materials to fabricate our cells, and to get special molecules that our bodies can't make themselves. The energy and most of the materials come from the 3 macronutrients: fats, carbohydrates, and proteins.
Carbohydrates are not a macronutrient. You don't need them. Your body produces all the glucose you need through gluconeogenesis. So they're actually not a macronutrient because by definition macronutrients are essential. Carbohydrates are not essential. So they're not a macronutrient.
Proteins are the most important resource for repairing and replenishing our cell structures. The special molecules are a large variety of vitamins and minerals we need to drive metabolic processes. Meat provides us with most of these things.
False, it provides us with all of these things.
It contains all essential amino acids our body needs and a lot of minerals like iron, zinc, and
Actually, you could just say that it contains every mineral we need and every vitamin we need, because it does.
essential vitamins, some of which are barely found in plants.
You could also just say that they're not found in plants at all. B12, vitamin D, those are not found in any plants. There are 15 micronutrients that you need that are not found in any plants.
Like vitamin B12. Only one essential nutrient is missing in most of the meat we consume: vitamin C.
False. Meat has vitamin C.
It appears in almost all plants and supports our immune system as well as the development of connective tissues. After a few months without it, you'd get scurvy.
True, but you don't need plants to get vitamin C. Vitamin C is in animal foods. It's in meat. Now, when you cook it, it does reduce the quantity of vitamin C by a lot, up to 50%.
But meat has another big advantage: its high bioavailability.
Yes, correct. The nutrients in meat are way more bioavailable than the ones in plants, meaning that it's just way easier for your body to absorb them.
Some of the nutrients in meat are broken down faster and available quicker than those from plants. Spinach, for example, contains more iron than meat, but it's absorbed much slower and the body needs more energy to digest it. Several health benefits have also been observed in communities that rely solely on meat. The Inuit, for example, are able to survive in extreme climate conditions on a purely meat-based diet if necessary.
No, they do it by choice.
Since they consume the whole animal, including the organs, they get every single nutrient they need, including vitamin C.
Well, vitamin C is in all meat. You do not need to eat organs to get vitamin C.
So meat itself is definitely not dangerous for us, but its health effects vary depending on how it's prepared and what animal it comes from. When talking about meat in the Western world, we generally mean muscle tissues that have a high nutrient density but also lack some of the vitamins that make it possible to survive on meat alone. The most healthy animals to eat are probably fish.
Probably. So, probably fish, right? Why? Why though?
Fish contains polyunsaturated fatty acids like
Yeah, those clog your arteries, by the way.
omega-3, which may lower the risk of cardiovascular
Which may lower the risk, again, completely associated. Not causal evidence.
diseases and support anti-inflammatory immune functions.
Can you prove any of this? No.
As part of a balanced diet, fish can be eaten regularly without worries.
That is true. You can eat fish regularly.
Eating fish comes with its own bag of complications though, like overfishing and the destruction of the oceans. We'll talk about that in another video.
Well, I would say the bigger concern with fish is that fish can be very high in heavy metals, especially farmed fish. You never eat farmed fish. If you're going to eat fish, only wild caught. Never even think about eating farmed fish. It's extremely toxic. But yeah, heavy metals in fish can definitely, be bad. It's one of the reasons why eating a lot of fish is not really a good idea.
Close second is the most popular meat, chicken. It's regarded as the meat with the fewest health risks.
But why?
The only negative health effect of poultry is a bit controversial: fat. Its high content of saturated fats is associated with a higher cholesterol level
Well, associated once again.
and cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, so this is not proven. Again, it's completely associated. Yeah. Saturated fat does not clog your arteries. You should not fear saturated fat. It's very nutrient dense. It's very stable. There's no actual proof that it clogs your arteries. Saturated fat is very good for you.
But this idea has also been criticized by a large number of scientists, arguing high cholesterol levels might be inherited and not caused by nutrition.
Which is true, by the way.
So, in general, if you want meat and are concerned about your health, go for chicken.
But why? Beef is more nutrient dense. Why would you eat chicken? Red meat is way more nutrient dense. I don't understand the logic there. Why would you eat chicken?
Things start to get problematic with high intakes of red meat like veal, pork, lamb, horse, and goat. A recently published study recommends, for example, a maximum of 23 grams of red meat per day.
Multiply that by, 50. Multiply that by 50. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. 23 grams of red meat a day. But why? They haven't there's no reasoning behind it.
Which is a very small steak per week. However, large-scale meta-analysis studies have shown that eating 100 grams of red meat every day increases the relative risk of diabetes by 19%, of strokes by 11%, and of colorectal cancer by 17%.
Again, purely associative. It's not causal evidence. This isn't actual proof of anything. This is literally just, it's epidemiology. It's not proof. It's not good evidence that red meat is actually, causing these issues.
This sounds alarming, but before we panic, let's have a look at how these studies were conducted. Because this brings us to the second big problem when trying to answer the question of whether meat is unhealthy or not. Most studies that linked health risks to eating red meat were case control studies, which means taking a group of people with a disease and classifying them by their eating habits. The more red meat they consume, the more likely they were to contract certain diseases. The problem is that it's very hard to eliminate other factors. People who eat less meat tend to live a healthier lifestyle in general. They tend to eat more vegetables and fruit and are
That's not healthy.
less likely to smoke and drink alcohol.
That one is true, and that's definitely contributes to this, false correlation between meat and disease.
Most studies try to eliminate these factors, but it's extremely
Well, that's just fraudulent. That's not honest.
hard to make definitive statements. Things get worse when we look at processed meat, though. Processing meat means adding certain chemicals by curing, smoking, salting, or fermenting, or in other words, making it delicious.
Meat is already delicious. But yes, yeah.
Bacon, ham, salami, sausages, and hot dogs contain chemicals that are harmful for us.
Can you prove that? No.
Like nitrates and nitrites that can
Not all processed meat has those.
damage the DNA in our digestive system and lead to cancer. The WHO reviewed 800 studies over 20 years and concluded that processed meat is strongly linked to an increased risk of colorectal cancer.
Strongly linked. So that's correlation. Correlation does not equal causation once again. And once again, colorectal cancer, like the relative risk for that is basically nothing. Anyways. But yeah, just as pure correlation.
Each extra 50 grams of processed meat per day increases your relative risk of
You can't report on risk because you're using correlation, you're using associations. You cannot report on risk.
cancer by 18%. When it comes to cancer risk, processed meat is now in the same category as plutonium, asbestos, and smoking.
That is so stupid. Oh my goodness. Yeah, smoking. Yeah, asbestos is, same level of carcinogenic as processed meat. Yep. Oh my goodness.
The WHO highlights that its research is only about the question of whether or not something causes cancer and not to what extent. But processed meat may also significantly increase the chance of suffering from diabetes, strokes, and coronary heart
It may. So it also may not.
diseases. It also makes a difference what sort of life our meat lived when it was still part of a living being.
Yeah, that actually, that is very true, and it's not something people pay a lot of attention to. If you eat the meat of a cow that was 100% grass-fed, that lived on a pasture, obviously that the meat from that cow is going to be a lot better than the meat from a cow that was, packed in a factory and, had no space, was eating processed grains. So yeah, that is a very important part of it.
It's common to feed large amounts of antibiotics to livestock in order to prevent diseases which can spread antibiotic resistance. Combined, a high consumption of both red and processed meat could increase your chance of premature death by up to 29%.
It could. So it also could not.
This means if your chance of dying is 3% this year, it's now 4%.
What? It's a pure association. You can't prove any of this.
This might not sound like a lot, but tiny percentages have a huge impact on societies of millions. They also seem harmless until they affect you. To blame meat alone for bad health would be wrong, though.
Obviously.
There is no evidence that the very essence of meat has any negative effect beyond its high fat content.
Bro, oh my goodness. Okay, and once again, so the reason why they say that the fat in meat is bad for you is because it's high in saturated fat, which they say raises your LDL cholesterol, which is linked to increased rates of heart disease. However, when we actually look at studies done, they look at the plaque progression of people with high LDL and people with normal LDL. The plaque progression is exactly the same. So high LDL is inherited, it's genetic, and not only that, but LDL cholesterol is not cholesterol. Like, there's only one type of cholesterol. There's no bad cholesterol.
And even this point is highly contentious. Just like with many other pleasures in life, sometimes too much of a good thing is harmful.
that can be true, but there's not really such thing as too much meat unless you're literally shoving it down your throat when you're not hungry.
Most public health agencies suggest cutting meat consumption to 500 grams a week, while studies suggest cutting down processed meat as much as possible. So if you feast on meat no more than once or twice a week, you should be good.
No, you should be eating meat every single day. A lot of it. At least 80% of your diet should be meat, ideally.
For most people, this already means a drastic change in their diets, though. The average American consumes around almost 1,600 grams of meat a week.
That's not enough.
The average German, 1,100 grams a week.
That's way too little,
And many of us eat much, much more.
which is good.
If you're not really sure, make a small note whenever you eat meat for a week or two. You'll be surprised how much it really is. So most people watching this video would benefit from cutting down on meat.
Why? You have no proof? You have no proof for that?
Aside from health concerns, there's still the fact that the meat industry is one of the largest contributors to climate change and has reached a scale where it's impossible to deliver millions of tons of meat and still treat animals with dignity. We've already discussed that in detail in another video.
Okay, well, that's another topic, but if we're talking purely about how healthy meat is, this has nothing to do with it. So I don't even know why he's including this in the video.
All in all, in moderation, meat is not unhealthy, and you don't need to become
Meat is actually not unhealthy, even if you eat a lot of it. In fact, eating a lot of meat is very healthy.
vegetarian overnight to have a real impact on your health and the planet.
That would have a bad impact on your health, for sure.
But your lifestyle choices do matter, for yourself and for others.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty bad video. Made no sense whatsoever.